Yeah, good afternoon to one and all. Yeah, myself, I'm Dr. G. Sudhakar. So I'm going to teach the fourth semester Geology, Sedimentary and Metamorphic Rocks. Sedimentary and Metamorphic Rocks. So first let me show the contents. So here the content is, let me show my screen share. So what are the syllables which we have? Yeah, this is your contents. So first black, Sedimentary Petrology. So in this Sedimentary Petrology, we have three units: Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3. Formation of sedimentary rocks properties, classification of sedimentary rocks. This is first block. Formation of sedimentary rocks. How sedimentary rocks are formed. Second unit, sedimentary rocks and properties. And third unit, classification of sedimentary rocks. So these three units comes under in black one. Coming to black 2, Metamorphic Petrology. So in this Metamorphic Petrology black 2, there are again three units are there. First unit, metamorphism, agents and kinds. So different agents is towards metamorphism and kinds of metamorphism. And mineralogical characters of metamorphic rocks. So what is the major mineralogical assemblage in the metamorphic rocks? What are the chief minerals which are present in the metamorphic rocks, which are comes under the unit 2. And unit 6, metamorphic rocks textures, structures, and classification. Textures, structures, and classification. And black 3, Metamorphic Petrology. 2, in this again 3 units. First unit, magma and metamorphism. Second unit, cataclysmic metamorphism. Third unit, thermal metamorphism. So types of metamorphism: magma and metamorphism, cataclysmic metamorphism, and thermal metamorphism. So these 3 units comes in black 3. And last black, Metamorphic Petrology 3. So it means second black, third black, and fourth black belongs to Metamorphic Petrology. So in which Metamorphic Petrology 1, Metamorphic Petrology 2, and Metamorphic Petrology 3. So in this Metamorphic Petrology 3, dynamothermal metamorphism, plutonic metamorphism, and typical Indian rocks. Typical Indian metamorphic rocks. So this is your syllabus. Total you have 4 blacks. Total you have 4 blacks. In this 4 black, first black is belongs to sedimentary rocks, and second and third and fourth blacks which are belongs to metamorphic rocks. Okay, this is your syllabus. Okay, first let us see sedimentary petrology. Sedimentary black 1, sedimentary petrology. That formation of sedimentary rocks. Formation of sedimentary rocks or sedimentary rocks properties. Let us see what is sedimentary petrology. Yeah. Yes, see, sedimentary petrology. So as we know, petrology is the study of rocks. Petrology is the study of rocks. So this petrology again further divided into 3 sub branches. So they are igneous petrology, sedimentary petrology, and metamorphic petrology. Petrology deals about the study of rocks. Petrology is going to deal about the study of rocks. So this petrology has three main subdivisions. They are igneous petrology, sedimentary petrology, and metamorphic petrology. So in our syllabus, sedimentary and metamorphic. In our syllabus, we have two divisions: sedimentary petrology and metamorphic petrology. So now we came to know that what is petrology. Petrology, petro means rock. Logy means study or science. The study of rocks is known as petrology. The study of rocks is known as petrology. Sedimentary petrology. So it is one of the branch in petrology. It is one of the branch in petrology. So what is sedimentary? So sedimentary petrology. So the sedimentary petrology or sedimentary rocks. Petrology means study of rocks. So sedimentary rocks. So the sedimentary rocks generally are formed. Listen carefully. The sedimentary rocks are formed by consolidation and cementation of sediments deposited under water. The sedimentary rocks are formed by consolidation and cementation of sediments. Consolidation and cementation of sediments deposited under water. Such type of rocks is known as sedimentary rocks or sedimentary petrology. Sedimentary rocks, those rocks. So those rocks are which rocks are formed by consolidation. Consolidation and cementation. Consolidation and cementation of sedimentary. Cementation of sediments. Sediments nothing but pieces. Nothing but rock pieces. Sediments nothing but rock pieces. So consolidation and cementation of sediments deposited under water. So the resulted rocks are called as sedimentary rocks. Clear? So those rocks which are formed by consolidation and cementation. Consolidation ante gatti padam. Consolidation nothing but gatti padam to make frozen condition. Okay. So sedimentary rocks are formed by consolidation. Cementation ante endi? Cement and general cement antunam. Cement em chestadi? Bricks annittu em chestam manam? A cement toti bound chestam, bandistam. Aga cementation ante nothing but em chestam? Cement toti a bricks ni chestam, red bricks ni cement toti manam joints lo cement chesi a bricks ni manam bound chesi bandinchestam. Cementation ante enti? Cementation of sediments. Sediments ante enti? Rock pieces, weathered rock pieces, fragments. So ఈ rock pieces ని అన్నిటిని బంధించి గట్టి పడినటువంటి ఎక్కడ అండర్ వాటర్. డిపాజిట్ అండర్ వాటర్. డిపాజిట్ అంటే ఏంది? సో దీస్ వెదర్డ్ రాక్స్ are deposited under water. So the resulted rocks are called as sedimentary rocks. Understand? So it is some process. As we know, the total amount of sedimentary rocks that exist, the total amount of sedimentary rocks that exist in the earth crust, it's about 16 kilometers from the earth crust. As we know, the total amount of sedimentary rocks takes place in the earth crust. It's about from upper surface of the earth to below up to 16 kilometers from the upper part of the surface. సో అంటే భూమి యొక్క ఉపరితలం నుండి క్రిందికి 16 కిలోమీటర్ల లోతు వరకు ఈ సెడిమెంటరీ రాక్స్ అంటే అవక్షేప శిలలు అంటాం తెలుగులో. అవక్షేప శిలలు. సో దిస్ sedimentary rocks are occupied in the earth crust. It's about 16 kilometers from the earth's surface. And it is occupied, and it is estimated to be only about 5%. It is estimated to be only about 5%. So ఇవి ఎంతవరకు ఉన్నాయి భూమి పైన మరి? All the rocks, among the rocks, total rocks లో ఇవి it is estimated about 5%. 100% మొత్తం 3 types of rocks are there, like igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. So these are occupied, or these are estimated about 5% only. So these rocks are found chiefly as an extensive cover over the continents. So where do we find these sediment rocks? We can find these sediment rocks chiefly as an extensive cover, over the continents. Over the continents. So above the earth surface. Continents means above the earth surface, whatever the elevated regions. What are the elevated regions? We can call it as continents. Okay. So here it is about 5%. It is occupied about 16 kilometers thickness of the earth crust. It has occupied those sediment rocks. But they are estimated about 5%. So these rocks are chiefly found as an extensive cover, over the continents. So generally, the sediment rocks also include the rocks formed by accumulation of chemically precipitated or originally derived materials. So these sediment rocks are also include the rocks which are formed by accumulation. The rocks which are formed by accumulation of chemically precipitated or organically derived materials. So the sediment rocks occur in layers and frequently contain fossils. So these sediment rocks occur generally in layers. అంటే ఈ sediment rocks అన్ని కూడా ఒక లేయర్స్ లాగా పొరలుగా లభిస్తూ ఉంటాయి. So these are occurred in layers, పొరలుగా లభిస్తూ ఉంటాయి. So the sediment rocks are occurred in the layered nature and frequently contains fossils. As we know, the sediment rocks is a scope for availability of fossils. Sediment rocks are the scope for availability of fossils. Why? Because what is fossil? The remains of plants and animal organisms which are preserved in the sediments. The fossil is the name of the process. Fossil is defined as the remains of plants and animal organisms. The remains of plant and animal organisms which are preserved in the sediments is known as fossil. So these sediment rocks is a very good scope, a chance of availability of fossils. That is why frequently these sediment rocks are frequently contains fossils, isn't it? So sediment rocks are the rocks which are formed by consolidation and cementation of sediments under water. So ఏ రాక్స్ అయితే కన్సాలిడేషన్ జరిగి ఏవి శిథిలావస్థలో ఉన్నటువంటి విచ్చిత్తి రూపంలో ఉన్నటువంటి వివిధ రకాల శిథిల పదార్థాలన్నీ కూడా ఒక దగ్గర రవాణా చెంది ఒక దగ్గర నిక్షేపణ చెంది అవన్నీ కూడా సాంద్రీకరణం చెందడం, గట్టిపడడం, సిమెంటేషన్, సమ్మేళనం చెందడం వల్ల ఏర్పడినటువంటి శిలలను మనం అవక్షేప శిలలు, sediment rocks. So ఎక్కడ ఉంటాయి మరి? So they found chiefly as an extensive cover over the continents. So the sediment rocks are chiefly occurred, mostly we can found chiefly as an extensive cover over the continents. So the sediment rocks also include the rocks which are formed by accumulation of chemically precipitated or organically derived materials. So these sediment rocks are occur in layered nature. In strata. The sediment rocks are occurred in layered nature or stratification or strata and frequently contain faults. So they are about 16 kilometers from the uppermost surface of the earth to the 16 kilometers depth. The sediment rocks are occurred. So then let us see the formation of sedimentary rocks. Let us see. So the formation of sediment rocks, how sediment rocks are formed. So the formation of sedimentary rocks takes place in 3 stages. The formation of sedimentary rocks takes place majorly in 3 stages. The sedimentary rocks are formed. What are the 3 stages? Number 1, weathering and erosion of pre-existing rocks. First one is, so sedimentary rocks are formed under the 3 stages. First one is weathering and erosion of pre-existing rocks. First one. Second stage is sedimentation. Second stage is sedimentation. And the third one is lithification and diagenesis. So these are the 3 stages which will take the formation of sedimentary rocks. These are the 3 rocks, or these are the 3 steps which lead to form the sedimentary rocks. First one is weathering and erosion. Second one is sedimentation. Third one is lithification and diagenesis. So these 3 stages, the sedimentary rocks are formed. Let us see the first stage, weathering and erosion. So during weathering and erosion, the pre-existing rocks and their constituent materials are broken down. What will happen in the first stage? During the weathering and erosion process, the pre-existing rocks means already formed rocks. Pre-existing means already which is there. So the pre-existing rocks and their constituent minerals, understand, are broken down first. This process what happened? So during the weathering and erosion process, the pre-existing rocks already ఏర్పడినటువంటి శిలలను మనం pre-existing rocks, isn't it? So during weathering and erosion, the pre-existing rocks and their constitution materials are broken down. The materials thus produced is called the sediment. The material thus produced is called the sediments. So ఆ రకంగా వచ్చినటువంటి the material thus the produced, whatever the materials are broken down. So in what way the broken down? The materials thus which are mostly and deposited or produced. So these materials thus produced is called the sediments. So whatever during the weathering process, weathering on rocks, pre-existing rocks. So during the weathering and erosion, the pre-existing rocks and their constituent minerals are broken down. So during the weathering process, what will happen? The pre-existing rocks are led to break down. The pre-existing rocks and the constituent minerals are going to break down. So when they are going to broken down, the material is produced, isn't it? ఎప్పుడైతే ఏదైనా ఒక శిల పగిలినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, చిన్న చిన్న శిలా ముక్కలుగా ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేయబడుతుంది, విడుదల చేయబడతారు కదా. సో వెన్ వెదరింగ్ అంటే ఏంది, బ్రేకింగ్ ఆఫ్ రాక్. బ్రేకింగ్ ఆఫ్ రాక్ ఇంటూ స్మాలర్ పార్టికల్స్ ఇస్ నోన్ యాజ్ వెదరింగ్. అంటే పెద్దగా ఉన్నటువంటి శిల చిన్న చిన్న ముక్కలుగా విడగొట్టబడడానికి మనం ఏమంటాం, కెన్ కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ వెదరింగ్. ఓకే, దీని తెలుగులో అది శైథిల్యం అంటాం, శైథిల్య ప్రక్రియ. ఓకే, సో హియర్ weathering and erosion of pre-existing rocks, the first stage. What will happen during the weathering and erosion? The pre-existing rocks and their constituent minerals are broken down. So the material thus and deposited in areas of accumulation by the action of water or less frequently by glacial and wind erosion during metamorphism. So what will happen? So the sediments are usually transported and deposited in areas of accumulation by the action of water or less frequently by glacial and water action. See, during the transportation, what will happen? See, so during this weathering process, so that the materials which are going to be produced, which are called sediments. So the sediments are usually transported and deposited in areas of accumulation by the action of water or less frequently by glacier or wind action. See, during the weathering process, what happened? The weathered products, అంటే వెదరింగ్ వల్ల ఏమైనా పెద్దగా ఉన్నటువంటి ఒక స్థూల పరిమాణంలో ఉన్న శిల సూక్ష్మ పరిమాణంలో నుండి వివిధ రకాల శిలా ముక్కలుగా, శైథిల్య పదార్థాలుగా, రాక్ ఫ్రాగ్మెంట్స్ గా విడగొట్టబడతాయి. సో దీస్ సెడిమెంట్స్ ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు బి ట్రాన్స్పోర్టెడ్ అండ్ డిపాజిటెడ్ ఇన్ ఏరియాస్ ఆఫ్ accumulation by the action of water, or less frequently by glacial or wind action. So after the weathering process is over, there are weathered products or weathered fragments or fine particles are produced from the rock, and these particles or materials which are going to be transported and accumulation in the low-lying areas. So these materials are going to be transported and deposited in areas of accumulation. These materials are going to be transported and deposited in areas of where the accumulation has been takes place. Accumulation is gather, isn't it? So when the accumulation takes place, these weathered products or fragments are going to be accumulated, and which are going to take place by the action of water or less frequently by glacial or wind action. So how do these materials are transported to the low-lying areas or areas of accumulation? By the wind action, by the glacial action, by the action of water. With help of the water, with help of the wind, with help of the glaciers, the materials are going to be transported for further distance, isn't it? So this is the next. What will happen during the transportation? The sediments are roughly sorted, isn't it? During the sedimentation, the sediments are roughly sorted. It means and deposited according to size. So whatever during the transportation, generally the sediments nothing but rock pieces. The sediments are roughly sorted and deposited according to size. So they are going to be roughly sorted, not perfectly. So the fragments are roughly sorted out, isn't it? And deposited according to their size. So based on their size, based on their size, material, based on their size, they are going to be accumulated in the where the areas of accumulation takes place. So here, according to size, so the bigger rocks fragments such as gravel settle first. So in these rock fragments, so they are settled. During the transportation, the sediments are roughly sorted and deposited according to size. So based on the size, they are deposited itself. So bigger rocks fragments such as gravel settle first. So whatever the bigger rocks are there in their journey or in their group of materials, the bigger fragments, the bigger rock fragments and such as gravel settled first. Settled first. Why? What is the reason? The reason is high or the bigger size materials are have a high specific gravity. We are not, so whatever the materials are going inside, so they are not going into the various places. It depends upon the nature, isn't it? So that it is not well sorted and deposited according to size. Here we can see the bigger fragments are deposited at the last. And see, whatever the bigger rocks fragments are roughly sorted and deposited according to size. And the bigger rock fragments, such as the gravels, the visceral, where it has been takes place, where our accumulation has takes place. So generally, the bigger rock fragments such as gravel settle first, sands are next in order, and clays are deposited the last. Gravels are gravels are first, and where the clays are deposited the last. So the minerals which are dissolved by the water or travel is essential. So whatever the happens or what will takes place in all this criteria, in all the aspects, which is going to take place very clear. So this is weathering and erosion process. Weathering and erosion of pre-existing rocks. So here, the bigger rocks or rock fragments are settled first. Thereafter, sands are next in order. The clays are deposited in the last. Sandy material, so rocks are very big, even in tons. So that is the way of processing, how it is going to process. So here, the process of accumulation of sediments as a site deposition is called sedimentation. So here, generally, whatever the fragments such as gravel settle first, sands are next in order, and the clays are deposited in the last. So clays are very poorly sorted. They are very poorly sorted. So here, that is why the minerals which are dissolved by the water. So what are the minerals which are dissolved by the water? Isn't it? So here, the minerals which are dissolved by the water travel in solution. So whatever the minerals which are going to be dissolved by the water, which are going to travel in solution. So here, even some teachers are also going to repeat this. So there are several variations you can see the formation of sediment rocks. So it means the minerals which are dissolved by the water or travel in solution. So whatever the minerals or nothing but rock pieces or fragments which are going to be dissolved in the water, they travel in solution. They travel as a solution, isn't it? So whatever the condition which are going to take place, in order to take place all the aspects, definitely they will see various aspects of minerals. So whatever the formation sedimentary rocks does still takes place in condition. So the minerals which are dissolved by the water, they travel in the form of solution. They are travel in the form of solution. So after the solution, already told that the sedimentary rocks are includes the accumulation of chemically precipitated or organically dissolved. So the materials, the sediment rocks occur in layers, and mostly you can say that they must contain deposits. So the water travels the solution and all the aspect where it has been takes place or whatever the materials. So listen, try to understand the concept. Our major topic is sedimentary rocks. What is sedimentary rocks? Sedimentary rocks are the rocks which are formed by the consolidation and cementation of sediments under water. Simple. What are sediment rocks? Sediment rocks are the rocks which are formed by consolidation and cementation of sediments formed under water. So ekkada the water lo form avalante ekkadante water lo majorly lakes, ponds, oceans, isn't it? Lakes, ponds, oceans, all these, isn't it? The ocean, the sea, all these which are having the water. So they are the low-lying areas, they are the catchment areas. So that the consolidation and cementation of sediments deposited in the okay. So whatever the rock types which are going to take place, all these rock types which are going to be seen. So each and every rock type, they differ from one another. Their color, in their chemical composition, in terms of mineralogical assemblage, their structure, their texture, their color, their metallurgical assemblage, all quite differ from the one another. So it is very clear to see all these rocks, wherever the zones are there. So which are very clearly showing various aspects of this. So this is, there are, as I told you, there are 3 steps or 3 stages to form the sediment rocks. First one is weathering and erosion of pre-existing rocks. Second one is sedimentation. And third one is lithification and diagenesis. So we have completed first one, weathering and erosion of pre-existing rock. And second one, sedimentation. Second stage is sedimentation. So the process of accumulation, sedimentation is the process of accumulation of sediments. The process of accumulation of sediments at a site of deposition is called the sedimentation. So what is sedimentation? Sedimentation is the process of accumulation of sediments. Sediments nothing but rock pieces or weathered products or weathered fragments, isn't it? So sedimentation is the process of accumulation of sediments of a site. Accumulation of sediments at a site of deposition is called the sedimentation. Telugulo aithe ఎక్కడైతే అవక్షేపాలు సెడిమెంట్స్ లో అవక్షేపాలు నథింగ్ బట్ శిథిలమైనటువంటి శిలా పదార్థాలు రాక్ ఫ్రాగ్మెంట్స్. సో ఈ శిథిలమైనటువంటి శిలా పదార్థాలు ఎక్కడైతే ఎక్యుములేషన్ ఉంటుంది అన్ని గుమికూడడం, అన్ని చేరడం, అన్ని డిపాజిట్ కావడం. ఎక్కడైతే సాంద్రీకరణ చెందితే ఎక్యుములేషన్ అవుతుందో గుమికూడుతుందో ఎక్యుములేషన్ ఆఫ్ ఎట్ ఏ సైట్ ఆఫ్ డిపాజిషన్ అంటే ఏ ప్రాంతంలో అయితే అవి డిపాజిట్ కాబడుతున్నాయో. ఎక్యుములేషన్ అంటే ఏంది? డైలీ మనకు 10 రూపాయలు 20 రూపాయలు 30 రూపాయలు ఇట్లా డైలీ మనం అకౌంట్ లో అమౌంట్ వేస్తాం. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ఎక్యుములేషన్. గ్యాదర్ చేస్తా ఉంది మన దగ్గర ఉన్నప్పుడల్లా, చిల్లర ఉన్నప్పుడల్లా 10 రూపాయలు 20 రూపాయలు కూడా బ్యాంక్ లో వేస్తున్నాం. ఎక్కడ వేస్తున్నాం? సైట్ ఏంటిది? బ్యాంక్ లో ఏం చేస్తున్నాం? డిపాజిట్ చేస్తాం. అంటే ఏంది? రోజు 10 రూపాయలు బ్యాంక్ లో డిపాజిట్ చేస్తుంటే ఎక్యుములేషన్ అవుతుంటే వచ్చి చేరుతా ఉంటే ఎక్యుములేషన్ మీన్స్ కమ్ అండ్ జాయిన్, వచ్చి చేరడం వల్ల ఏమైతుంటే ఆటోమేటిక్ గా అమౌంట్ పెరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది, అవునా కదా? సో దట్ ఈస్ డిపాజిషన్. అట్లనే సో వాట్ ఎవర్ ద వెదర్డ్ products or rock pieces which are accumulated, accumulation is the process of accumulation of sediments. A site of deposition ఎక్కడైతే డిపాజిట్ కాబడతాయో ఆ సైట్ ఏ సైట్ అది? ఇట్ మే బి లేక్, ఇట్ మే బి పాండ్, ఇట్ మే బి సీ, ఇట్ మే బి ఓషియన్. అది ఒక లేక్ కావచ్చు, సరస్సు కావచ్చు, చెరువు కావచ్చు, ఇంకా సముద్రం కావచ్చు, మహాసముద్రం కావచ్చు, వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ మే బి. ఇట్స్ సైట్ ఆఫ్ డిపాజిషన్. అక్కడ డిపాజిట్ అవుతుంది. దాన్ని మనం అంటాం సెడిమెంటేషన్. Sedimentation is a process of accumulation of sediments at a site of deposition. It's called sedimentation. This is second stage. So the material carried in solution precipitates and accumulates. Sedimentation is the intermediate stage, the formation of sediments. Yes, there are 3 stages. Weathering and erosion of pre-existing structures, the first one. Last one is lithification and diagenesis. Madhalo emunnadi? Sedimentation. There are 3 stages. Which are there to form the sediment rocks. That is why sedimentation is the intermediate stage. Sedimentation is the intermediate stage in the formation of sediment rocks. So the material carried in solution precipitates and accumulates. The material carried in solution precipitates and accumulates in this process of sedimentation. So in all the aspects, the sedimentation is going to take place, isn't it? So here, this is sedimentation. And the third one is lithification and diagenesis. This is the last stage. So lithification is a process by which a soft and loose sediments are converted to hard and firm rocks. This process is called lithification. And consolidation. See, the lithification is a process. By which a soft and loose sediments, మనకైతే స్థూల పరిమాణం ఉన్నటువంటి శిల సూక్ష్మ పరిమాణం తెచ్చిన శిలా ముక్కలుగా విడగొట్టబడిందో, శైథిల్యం చెందిందో, ఇవన్నీ ఏంటి? దే ఆర్ వెరీ సాఫ్ట్ and loose sediments. అవన్నీ కూడా loose individual sediments. They are very soft and loose sediments. So lithification is a process by which the soft and loose sediments are converted into hard and firm rocks. Hard and soft గా ఉన్నాయి, హార్డ్ గా కావాలి, లూజ్ గా ఉన్నాయి, ఫిర్మ్ కావాలి, అంటే దగ్గర బంధించబడతాయి. So these soft and loose sediments are going to be converted to hard and firm rocks So this process is called consolidation. So during this process, many physical and chemical changes takes place, isn't it? So during the consolidation process, the physical and chemical changes takes place within the sediments. So during this lithification process, what happens? There are physical changes takes place. There are chemical changes takes place within the sediment. So such changes are called the diagenetic changes or diagenesis. And the process is described as diagenesis. Diagenetic changes and the process is called or described as diagenesis. So this is lithification and diagenesis. So lithification is a process by which a soft and loose sediments are going to be converted to hard and firm rocks. So this process is called as consolidation. So during this process, many physical and chemical changes takes place in the sediment. So that such changes are called such changes are called a diagenetic changes in the process. And this diagenetic process described as diagenesis. This is about the formation of first unit. Black one, first unit. Formation of sediment rocks. How sediment rocks are formed. So sediment rocks are formed under 3 stages. First one is erosion of pre-existing rocks. Second one, sedimentation. And the third one is lithification and diagenesis. So in these 3 stages, the sediment rocks are formed under the water. Okay, this is first black one, first one, process of formation of sedimentary rocks. Yes, I hope you understand, all of you. If you have any doubt, you can raise your question. Yeah, my class is over. Thank you, one and all.